Welcome to immigrationquestion.com, your go-to resource for U.S. immigration insights. We provide clear immigration news and information. Our platform provides a network of licensed attorneys who can answer your questions and guide you through the process. From visas to green cards, asylums to citizenships, immigrationquestion.com helps you to network with immigration attorneys so that you can move forward with confidence. Sign up today or download the app. Free registration, limited time offer. Stay tuned. We go live in 30 seconds.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar hosted by immigrationquestion.com, a networking platform where immigrants, families, advocates, and licensed immigration attorneys can come together to learn more about U.S. immigration policies as well as procedures. My name is Samia Marat, and I will be your host for today's discussion. The PERM process in the year 2026 and challenges that may occur at each stage. Now, for professionals pursuing employment-based permanent residence, the PERM labor certification is one of the first major steps in the process. From recruitment requirements to government review, each stage comes with its own set of rules, documentation, and potential setbacks that employers and foreign workers should be aware of. To help us explore today's topic, we are joined by Attorney Lal, an experienced business immigration attorney with a strong focus on employment-based immigration. He represents employers seeking work visas and employment-based green cards for skilled professionals and has extensive experience handling H-1B, L-1, E-2O, and EB immigration matters across a wide range of industry. Attorney Lal, thank you for joining us today. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Now, before we begin, immigrationquestion.com is a public educational and networking platform. The information shared with you today is for general information purposes only and does not constitute individualized legal advice. Whether you're joining us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or any other platform, welcome. Please subscribe and share this session with anyone who may benefit from learning more about the PERM labor certification process. Now, Attorney, let's dive straight into it. I want to know, what is the purpose of the PERM labor certification and which kind of visa requires it?
In very basic terms, if an employer wants to sponsor someone for a green card under EB2 and EB3 category, then the employer must obtain what is called the labor certification before they can file the immigrant I-140 petition for the employee. So that's a whole kind of purpose and requirement for any employer who wants to sponsor an employee for a green card.
Okay, and what are the important steps in this type of process?
So first of all, the entire process is very complicated, lengthy, but in terms of steps, essentially there are 3 steps. Number 1, the employer must first get the prevailing wage determination, or PWD.
Mm-hmm.
Once the employer gets a PWD from the Department of Labor, they have to do the recruitment. They have to run the ads in Sunday newspaper, etc. Once the ads are done,
Mm-hmm.
then the employer has to wait 30 days, which is called the cool-off period. Once the cool-off period ends, then the employer can proceed with filing of the labor certification. Labor certification, once it is certified, no matter whatever the time is, 12 months, 14 months as of now,
Mm-hmm.
once that is satisfied, then the 3rd step is filing the immigrant I-140 petition.
Okay.
So these are the 3 big steps in the entire process.
And what type of documentation is required, or maybe even evidence that's required during the process?
So essentially, the employer need to maintain what is called the audit file when they submit the labor certification. In the audit file, the employer is required to keep all the recruitment material, such as the Sunday newspaper ad, notice of filing, the prevailing wage determination, if there were extra recruitment done, such as an employer's website, online, radio, ethnic newspaper, etc., the proof and copies of all those documents should be in the employer's audit file. In case there is an audit from the Department of Labor, employers should be ready to provide all those documents in the audit file.
And what are some common mistakes or even challenges that some people face during this PERM process?
So, as I said, there are three main stages of the entire process. Each stage could have their own challenges.
Mhm.
For example, the main challenge is when the employer has already obtained prevailing wage and they are at the stage of recruitment, right? And at the recruitment stage, if when the employer is doing the recruitment, posting ads, etc., if a qualifying person applies to that job and they are ready and willing to do that job, that's the end of the process, which means the employer cannot proceed with this process further and cannot sponsor the employee for a green card. So that's the biggest challenge that we normally see.
And I know you mentioned that this is quite a lengthy process, but what is the processing time, if you can give one, for a PERM labor certification in the year 2026?
So each stage has their own processing time, but the
Mhm.
longest one is the second stage where we do the labor certification.
Mhm.
So the first stage, as of now, if I file a prevailing wage request, I'll probably get back from Department of Labor in 4 to 6 months on an average.
Okay.
Then the second stage, the labor certification stage, that's the lengthiest at this time. I have few cases pending for more than 16, 17 months.
Oh my God. Okay.
And once that stage is done, the third stage, when you file the I-140 petition, the good part is there is an option for premium processing, which means you pay an extra fees and get the result sooner. But then if you were to file without premium processing, the again processing time is more than 12 to 18 months easily.
Wow. Okay.
So without
And
without premium processing, the entire process can go as long as 3 years easily.
okay. And for someone who's beginning this type of process in this year, what practical advice would you offer to help them avoid delays in this process?
One very practical advice is most of the employer are sponsoring people who are already here on their H-1B status. And what happens is H-1B has a 6 year limit.
Hmm.
And several countries are backlogged, meaning even if their green card application is approved, they cannot get their green card because of the backlogs.
Hmm.
And in that case, they have to extend their H-1Bs, right? So if they do not have I-140s approved, the immigrant petition approved, they cannot extend their H-1Bs. So if you are in that process, I would say start early in the process, considering that the process may take 2 to 3 years.
Okay. For everyone just joining us, today's conversation highlights how the PERM process requires careful planning, accurate documentation, and close attention to regulatory requirements. Whether you are an employer sponsoring a worker or a professional pursuing permanent residence, reliable information can make each stage of the process much easier to approach. If it is your first time joining us, welcome. ImmigrationQuestion.com is a networking platform where users can ask immigration related questions at no cost and engage with participating attorneys. We are also proud to share that ImmigrationQuestion.com is triple B accredited and ISO certified, reflecting our commitment to transparency, accountability, community education, and security. Now, attorney, based on your experience, how does ImmigrationQuestion.com help immigrants as well as immigration attorneys like yourself?
I think it's a great platform. It connects the service provider, meaning the attorneys, to the people who are seeking immigration services. So it benefits both the parties.
Mhm. Now, before we jump into our live Q&A, we just want to ask one more important question. What is a common misconception about the PERM labor certification process that employers and foreign workers should clarify before we begin this journey?
So many, especially the employees, normally think that if the employer is sponsoring them
Mhm.
for the green card, they have to be employed with them at that time before the process even starts. But many people forget that even if you're not working for that employer at that time, they can still sponsor you because they're sponsoring you for a future job. So that's a common misconception.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Attorney Lal on the PREM process in 2026 and challenges that may occur at each stage. We're now going to move into our live Q&A session. This is your opportunity to ask general questions and hear educational insights from a licensed immigration attorney. Please drop your questions in the chat, or you can call us live on 516-703-3483, and we will take as many questions as the time allows. Question number one. I am worried about my perm process taking too long. Is there anything my employer can do to speed it up?
Well, it's a very good question, and we get this question a lot. Unfortunately, for the employer for the perm processing part cannot do much.
Mhm.
But what the employer can do once a perm is certified, then they can at least file the immigrant I-140 petition with premium processing. That's what the employer can do, but the employer cannot do much about expediting the perm process itself.
Okay. Question number two. What happens if my perm application gets denied? Do we have to start all over again?
It's a very good question, a very relevant one. It depends upon why the labor certification or the perm was denied.
Mhm.
If it is appealable, you can file what is called a motion to reconsider or maybe take to an appeal to Balka. But if it is not appealable, there was a mistake from the employer side, then I would say yes, you will have to do it all over again. You need not waste your time by filing an appeal for this denial.
Okay. Question three. Can I change jobs while my perm application is still being processed?
It's a very tricky and very interesting question. As I said, the perm process or the entire green card sponsorship by an employer is essentially for a future job.
Mm.
So if you change job, it does not affect the perm process per se, but practically speaking, if you are working for employer A, they are doing perm process for you, and if you quit their job, most employer will likely end their perm process for you. They will not move forward with the perm process. But if they want to, yes, they can do that. You need not be employed with them just for that purposes. I hope the
Okay.
answer is clear.
What happens if I lose my job before my perm case is approved?
So it depends. And generally speaking, if you are working for the employer at the time who is doing your perm process and they lays you off, essentially they cannot proceed with the perm application.
Mhm.
But in many cases, what we have seen, let's say you're working for employer A, but somehow the employer B wants to sponsor you and they are doing the perm process, and you quit or you laid off from employer A, it will not affect the perm process which is being done by employer B.
Mhm. My H-1B is close to expiring. Can I still stay in the US while my perm case is pending?
So if you are on H-1B visa and your 6 year limit is about to be you're about to touch the 6 year limit, but your labor certification or perm was filed more than a year ago, then you can get an extension based on that pending perm but the extension will be only for 1 year in 1 year increment.
Okay.
If the PERM gets approved and the employer file the I-140 quickly in premium processing, it gets approved, then you can get the H-1B extension for 3 years. But if the PERM remains pending, your H-1B extension will be for 1 year only.
Okay. If my employer changes its name or gets bought by another company, will that affect my perm case?
In most cases, it should not affect the PERM process. For example, the minor change, the name getting changed or company being acquired. As long as the sponsoring employer's physical or geographic location remains the same, it should not affect in most cases because the entire PERM process is tied to the geographic location. As long as
Hmm.
that is intact, you should be fine.
Now, recent reports have shown that the United States is in discussions with the DRC regarding the deportation of certain third country nationals, which kind of draws broader international attention, right? Now, I want to know when developments like these come up, should immigrants generally be concerned about how such policy discussions could affect other immigration matters, or are they kind of viewed as separate issues?
It's a very good, very relevant question. And it generally affects people who are in removal proceedings and
Hmm.
within that geographic location, meaning they are from nearby countries. So, what might happen in that case? First of all, government might deport you to that country in which they're entering the agreement with. And there is a thing called withholding of removal. What it means is the immigration court denies your asylum application but still approves you for withholding of removal, which means you can stay in the US, cannot get a status. What essentially it means is the US government cannot send you back to that country from where you are claiming the asylum. But with these kind of agreements, even though the US government cannot send you back to your home country, but they can still send you back to these kind of countries. So that's how it affects people who are currently in removal proceedings.
Okay. Thank you to everyone who joined us today for our special webinar, and thank you to Attorney Lal for sharing your knowledge and your practical guidance. You can always visit immigrationquestion.com to ask immigration related questions, to stay informed about policy updates, as well as to register for upcoming live events. If you've missed any part of today's discussion, the replay will be available on Spotify soon. Just search Borderless Talk by immigrationquestion.com. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at our next live session. Stay informed, stay prepared, and stay connected.
Thank you.
Thank you.